Welcome back, everyone, to today's story. We are about to witness the chilling cruelty of a woman called Mother. Just how brutal can money and greed make a person? The answer is coming right up. Shocking. A mother-in-law steals gold, heartlessly pushes her daughter-in-law off a cliff, and then calmly goes home to announce her death. She thought Tien had become prey for wild beasts. She laughed in triumph, believing her heinous crime was buried forever in the cold, deep forest. But no heaven has eyes. From the jaws of death, Tien crawled back to the city on bleeding feet. 3 days of starvation, sleeping under the open sky, enduring the humiliation of begging for leftover foe. All that extraordinary willpower was for this single moment, the moment Jack sees her. How terrible will a husband's rage be when he sees his wife looking like a living ghost? A tearful and furious reckoning is about to begin right at the city bus station. How will the villain pay for her crimes? Please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the most satisfying revenge scene in history. Don't forget to give Jack a like to fuel his fight for justice for his wife. Without further ado, we will follow the footsteps of Tien, the woman harmed by her ex-mother-in-law. When she fainted, she was taken into the forest and abandoned. But by some sheer will, in the darkest hours of her life, she survived. After days lost in the deep forest or remote countryside, Tien's bleeding feet finally touched the concrete of the city. The city appeared before her, not as a place of glamour, but as a noisy alien maze. It had been 3 days. 3 days of surviving on stream water and wild berries. Her body was like a machine out of fuel, running on the last fumes of survival instinct. She dragged herself along the sidewalk. People walked past her. Some grimaced. Some dodged her as if she were a carrier of disease. And rightfully so, look at her now. Hair matted and messy clothes, caked in mud lips, cracked and white. Tien looked at her reflection in the glass window of a high-rise building. She burst into tears. She didn't recognize herself anymore. Where was the beautiful, elegant Tien of yesterday? Now she looked like nothing more than a beggar. But self-pity was quickly pushed aside, because something scarier was hitting her hunger. The smell of food. Oh God, the smell of food was everywhere. The scent of grilled meat from sidewalk stalls, crispy hot bread, the aroma of fragrant faux broth wafting from fancy restaurants. It tortured her senses. It made her stomach cramp violently. She stumbled, grabbing a lamppost to keep from falling. She knew if she didn't eat right now, she would collapse and might never wake up again. Tien rummaged through her pockets. Empty, not a penny. Her wallet was gone, her phone too. What now beg for food? Her pride wouldn't allow it. Eat and run. She wasn't a thief. She needed money to get home. She needed bus fare. And most importantly, she needed energy to keep living. Her eyes, blurred with hunger, stopped in front of a large restaurant. The sign read, "Traditional Pho, Special." The place was luxurious, crowded with customers coming in and out, all dressed politely. A wave of terrible insecurity rose in Tien's heart. If a ragged person like her walked in, would security beat her and chase her away? But the smell of beef broth, simmered with cinnamon, and anise drifted out like an invisible hand pulling her in. I have to live. I have to live to see Jack. I have to live to expose that evil mother-in-law. Tien took a deep breath, smoothed her messy hair, trying to regain whatever shred of dignity she had left. She walked to the counter where the owner, a woman in her 50s wearing reading glasses with a kind but stern face, was tallying the bill. Customers around her started pointing. Scrutinizing eyes pricked her skin. Tien trembled, her voice hoarse with thirst. "Ma'am, excuse me." The owner looked up, frowning at the disheveled young girl in front of her. Before she could say anything, a waiter rushed over to chase her away. "Hey, you go somewhere else. We don't give money here." Tien waved her hands frantically, tears welling up. "No, I'm not asking for money, ma'am. I'm lost. I lost all my papers and money. I'm so hungry." The atmosphere in the restaurant seemed to drop. Tien swallowed hard, making an offer she never thought she'd make in her life. "I'll do anything you want. Wash dishes, mop floors, serve tables. I can do it all. Can you please let me work a shift to earn bus fare home?" Then she hesitated, looked down at her feet, and whispered the most important part. "But could you let me eat first? I'm starving. I'm afraid I don't have the strength to work. I promise I'll work hard to pay you back after I eat." It was a gamble. Asking for a job was hard enough. Asking for an advance bowl of pho to eat before working was even harder to believe. People could easily think she was a scammer who would eat and run. Tien closed her eyes, waiting to be waved away or scolded, but no. The owner looked deep into Tien's eyes. Those eyes, though exhausted, still shone with innocence and determination. She had lived long enough to tell the difference between a crook and someone in trouble. She sighed, took off her glasses, and signaled the staff to back off. "All right, sit at that table over there." She pointed to a small table in a secluded corner. "Get this girl a special bowl of pho, extra noodles and brisket. Add a plate of fried dough sticks, too." Tien was stunned. She bowed low. Thank you so much." When the steaming bowl of pho was brought out, smoke rising with a fragrant aroma, Tien felt like she was looking at a treasure. The clear broth, thin slices of beef green onions. To other diners, this was just a normal breakfast. But to Tien right now, this was life. She picked up the chopsticks, her hands shaking uncontrollably. The first taste of pho hit her tongue, the sweetness of the bone broth spreading, soothing her cramping stomach. Tien ate voraciously. She forgot her image, forgot her pride. She ate like she had never eaten before. But halfway through the bowl, tears suddenly gushed out, falling into the soup. Salty. Today's pho tasted salty with tears of humiliation. She missed the cozy family meals with Jack. She missed the days she was pampered. Why did fate push her into this black mud? She ate and cried at the same time. The customers around looked at her with pity, but no one dared to mock her anymore. They saw the sheer agony in the way the girl ate. After sipping the very last drop of broth, Tien felt a new stream of life running through her body. She wiped her tears and downed a glass of iced tea. She was alive again. Not wasting a second, Tien stood up and walked straight to the owner. "I'm finished. I'll get to work right now." The owner nodded, pointing to the back kitchen. Go in there, help the ladies wash the dishes. The back kitchen was completely different from the glamour out front. Hot and noisy, the floor slippery with grease. Tien rolled up her sleeves. Her hands, used to holding pens and makeup brushes, now had to soak in a basin of dishwater full of chemicals. The stack of dishes was towering, bowls sticky with beef fat, plates of leftover food. The smell was nauseating. Nauseating smell rose up, making her want to retch. But she gritted her teeth and endured it. Come on, Tien, you ate their food. You have to pay your debt. You need money to get back to Jack. She squatted on a low plastic stool, scrubbing every single bowl. Her back ached as if it were about to snap in two after days of walking. The scratches on her hands from the forest began to sting like salt was being rubbed into them when they met the soapy water. 1 hour, 2 hours, then 3 hours passed. The afternoon sun began to fade. Tien was still working diligently. She didn't dare rest, afraid the owner would think she was lazy. Sweat soaked the back of her shirt. Her hair was matted to her forehead. When the last bowl was stacked on the rack, Tien stumbled as she stood up. She almost fell because her legs were so numb. The owner walked in, looked at the stack of sparkling clean dishes, and nodded in satisfaction. All right, you're done. Come here, I'll pay you. She handed Tien a 200,000 dong bill and a 50,000 dong bill. This is for washing the dishes, and this is extra for a motorbike taxi to the station. You don't look like a manual laborer. You must have run into some bad luck. Take it and get home. And that wasn't all. She shoved a plastic bag into Tien's hand. There are 2 sandwiches and a bottle of water in here. Take it to eat on the way so you don't get hungry tonight. Tien held the money and the bag of food, bursting into uncontrollable sobs. In this cold, strange city, there were still living saints like this woman. Thank you, ma'am. I will never forget this kindness. I'll come back to repay you someday. Tien bowed to the owner one last time and walked out of the restaurant. It was completely dark now. Clutching the small amount of money in her hand, Tien hurriedly caught a motorbike taxi to the city bus station. Hope lit up in her heart. I'm almost home. Tonight I'll be there. But fate seemed intent on testing her further. When she arrived at the station, the clock struck 9 p.m. She ran to the ticket counter, asking for a bus to City X. The ticket agent shook her head coldly. No more buses, miss. The last one just left at 8:30. If you want to go, you have to wait until 5 a.m. tomorrow. Tien stood frozen. No more buses. Looking around the deserted station, the yellow lights flickered weakly. Motorbike taxi drivers and homeless drifters began gathering in dark corners, eyeing her with probing looks. She didn't have enough money for a motel, and she didn't dare look for a cheap guest house in the middle of the night like this. It was too dangerous for a lone girl. There was no other way. Tien walked toward the rows of stone benches in the waiting area. The bench was ice cold with night dew. She sat down, hugging the plastic bag with the sandwiches to her chest like a treasure. She broke off a piece of bread to ease her hunger, but tears fell again. Tonight she would have to sleep here. Under the sky, on the ground, amidst lurking dangers. She curled up, folding herself on the stone bench, wrapping her arms around her shoulders to keep warm. The night wind cut through her thin clothes, making her shiver violently. Tien closed her eyes, trying to lull herself into a fitful sleep. In her daze, she silently called Jack's name. "Honey, where are you? Do you know how much I'm suffering?" But Tien didn't know that in a dark corner, not far away, two strange men were whispering, their eyes glued to the young girl sleeping unguarded on the bench. And even more dangerously, a familiar black car, the car of her mother-in-law's henchman, had just glided past the station gate. Tien had temporarily survived hunger, but she had fallen into another trap of the night. Will her sleep on the station bench be peaceful? What do those two strangers plan to do? And that black car, will they spot Tien curling up right there? Tien's fate is like a candle in the wind. All alone in this chaotic bus station, will she see tomorrow's sunrise to catch the bus back to Jack? Or will tomorrow bring only bad news to Jack? Last night was the longest night of Tien's life. On the cold stone bench of the bus station, she curled up in fitful sleep, startling awake every now and then at the sound of truck horns or the footsteps of homeless people passing by. She clutched the bag of bread, tight, not daring to let go, because it was her only asset and her lifeline right now. 5 a.m. The bus station began to stir awake. The PA system crackled to life, announcing buses to various provinces. The morning fog was thick, mixing with dust, and the pungent smell of gasoline to create a suffocating atmosphere. Tien woke up. Her whole body ached as if she had been beaten. Her bones felt shattered after a night on hard stone. She rubbed her face. The dry, cracked skin reminded her of the brutal reality she was no longer a pampered lady. She was a homeless drifter. She dragged herself to the public water tap, splashing the freezing water on her face to wake herself up. The reflection in the puddle at her feet made her want to cry. Dark circles under her eyes, matted hair crumpled in dirty clothes. How can I go home looking like this? Will Jack even recognize me? Or will he be disgusted by me? Negative thoughts clung to her. Tien walked toward the bus parking area. The station was like a broken market. Ticket scalpers shouted, "Tai bin nam din miss." Where are you going, sweetie? Get on right now." The crowd jostled and shoved. Everyone was in a hurry with luggage on their shoulders. Only Tien was lost. Small and weak, she was pushed back and forth by the crowd like a dry leaf. She walked along the signs, squinting to find the bus to her city. The money in her hand felt hot. She counted it again. $250,000 dong. Enough for the ticket, but not enough for food along the way if the bus broke down. A vague fear rose in her chest. Tien stood bewildered in the middle of the bus station intersection, holding a half-eaten sandwich. Her eyes filled with tears as she watched the buses rolling out of the station. Self-pity surged. She missed Jack. She missed his warm embrace. "Jack, I'm so scared," she whispered in despair. Amidst the hundreds of chaotic noises of the bus station, a single sound rang out, tearing through the space and piercing straight into her heart. Tien. That voice. It wasn't the voice of a bus assistant. It wasn't the voice of a stranger. It was deep, warm, and so familiar, it was imprinted in every cell of her body. But it also held panic despair and an overwhelming release. Tien started and froze. The sandwich in her hand dropped to the ground. She thought she was hallucinating. I must miss him so much I'm hearing things. How could he be here? He's at home waiting for me. But the voice rang out again. Closer, louder, cracking from screaming. Tien, is that you? Tien slowly turned around. The world around her seemed to stop spinning. The crowd, the honking horns, everything blurred. About 10 meters away stood a man. It was Jack, but not the dashing Jack of everyday life. He was wearing a wrinkled shirt, untucked. His stubble was rough and unshaven. His eyes were sunken, deep bloodshot from lack of sleep. He stared at her, as if not daring to believe his own eyes. He had turned this city upside down. He had gone to every hospital, every morgue, and finally, his gut instinct told him to come to this bus station early this morning. Their eyes met. In that moment, time seemed to freeze. Jack! Tien's lips moved, but no sound came out. Jack rushed forward like a hurricane. He shoved aside the people blocking his way, sprinting toward his ragged, tiny wife. Jack grabbed Tien in a crushing embrace. He hugged her so tight, it hurt her a little, but she didn't care. He held her as if he wanted to fuse her into his own body. Terrified that if he loosened his grip even slightly, she would vanish into smoke again, Jack cried. The strong man, who never shed a tear in the face of hardship, was now sobbing uncontrollably in the middle of the crowded bus station. He stroked her hair, touched her dirty face, checking frantically to see if she was hurt anywhere. Where have you been? Where did you go all this time without telling me a word? Do you know, I almost went crazy. Jack's voice cracked, filled with both reproach and boundless love. I thought I lost you. I thought the kidnappers had. Tien couldn't say anything. She just burst into tears with him. All the strength, all the endurance she had mustered over the past few days completely collapsed. In his arms, she returned to being the fragile Tien who needed protection. She buried her face in his chest, inhaling his familiar scent, the smell of safety, the smell of home. Honey, save me. I'm so scared. People around them started to stop and look. Some were curious, some were moved. They saw a young man who drove a luxury car. Jack's car was parked nearby, hugging a girl who looked like a ragged beggar crying his heart out. True love really knows no class. Jack took off his jacket and draped it over Tien to cover her filthy clothes and keep her warm. He helped her to a nearby stone bench, the same one she had slept on last night. But now it was no longer cold because he was there. Tell me, what happened? Who did this to you? Jack asked, his eyes shifting from worry to stern intensity. Tien trembled, tears welling up again as she recalled the nightmare. She gripped Jack's hand tight, her fingernails digging into his skin. It was her. It was Mom. Jack frowned. Mom. My mom. Or your mom. It was my ex-mother-in-law, Mrs. Tui. The name Mrs. Tui struck like lightning. Tien began to recount the story, her voice breaking between sobs. That day, she tricked me into going to the back garden. She said she wanted to talk about reconciliation. I believed her. But then, she had people gag me and drag me into a truck. She drove me deep into the forest, where there was no cell signal. Tien raised her hand to her neck, where the gold necklace, her birth mother's keepsake, the most precious thing in her life, used to be. She ripped my necklace off. She laughed maniacally. She searched me, took all my money, my phone. She said, "Die here. Let the wild animals eat you. Let's see if Jack can find your corpse." Then she pushed me off the cliff. As Jack listened, his blood began to boil. His face flushed, red veins popping out on his forehead. So, Tien's disappearance wasn't an accident, wasn't her running away, but was a calculated attempted murder and robbery. And the mastermind was that evil woman. Tien continued telling him about her journey of survival in the forest, the nights of hunger, washing dishes for pennies. Every word felt like a knife stabbing into Jack's heart. He hated himself for not protecting her. But above all, he hated that woman named Tui to the very marrow of his bones. He looked at the scratches on Tien's hands, looked at her swollen feet. Jack stood up and punched the tree trunk next to him with all his might, splitting the bark, his knuckles bleeding. That wretch, she dared to touch you. She dared to steal your keepsake. He turned back, kneeling in front of Tien, wiping her tears with hands trembling from rage. His eyes were no longer sad. They were the eyes of a predator preparing to hunt. "Listen to me, Tien. From this moment on, you are safe. No one can touch you again. As for that evil old witch, I swear to you, I will make her pay 100, 1,000 times over for what you suffered. She took your necklace. I will make her pay with her entire fortune. She pushed you into the forest. I will put her in prison to rot." Jack helped Tien up and led her to the car. "Let's go home. We need to prepare for a war for justice." Jack's car sped away, leaving the noisy bus station behind. But the story doesn't end here. Mrs. Tui is sitting comfortably at home, wearing the stolen necklace, gloating in the thought that Tien is dead. She doesn't know that the corpse is returning along with Jack's fury. My dear friends, Tien has returned from the dead. The tearful reunion at the bus station has closed the chapter of her wandering misery. But the real storm is only just beginning. How will Mrs. Tui react when she sees Tien appear right at her doorstep? Where is that gold necklace now? And what trap will Jack, with the help of lawyers and police, set to make that old fox confess her crimes? Don't miss the next extremely intense episode, the return of the dead, and a slap in the face for the evil mother-in-law. Hit like if you support Jack punishing the villain. Leave a comment saying Mrs. Thui must pay to give strength to our couple. And remember to subscribe to be the first to witness the moment justice is served. Goodbye and see you next time.